Good morning, folks. Uh, let's see if I can't get this to sit so it's still. Is that okay? I hope that's okay. Uh, so I wanted to go over a couple things that have come to my knowledge. Um, if any of you watch Marfugel News, I would highly suggest that you go watch his latest TV show. In there, he talked about how Vladimir Putin has a ship, like a spaceship, um, that he's called Noah's Ark. Now, I would say that, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe that's a mistranslation, from the Russian to English. Um, or, maybe it's a joke. Maybe he's making a joke, satire. But a couple days ago, Elon Musk did a Twitter feed, and on his Twitter feed, and it was up for like 3 days, and on that was a picture of a rocket ship, and this picture was actually put out, I want to say in the 1950s, maybe early 1960s. And it had the animals two by two walking on the rocket ship. And then in the background, it had a boat in the background behind this rocket ship, if you're looking at the picture tightly. And that boat in the background, one that looks exactly like that, uh, President Z, I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Just unveiled a ship that looks exactly like that. And then last night, they started talking about, all these internet satellites that Musk has put up, Starlink. Now they're talking about it being a shield of some kind. So, my question is, seeing that, putting that together with all of the billionaires and the really high elites trying desperately to get off planet. What's coming? Now, being a trucker, I can tell you that we've seen lots of material and different types of things, such as huge transformers, MREs, commercial freeze dryers, canning supplies like jars and canners and things of that nature. Lots and lots of seeds, lots and lots of toilet paper and paper towels and paper plates and bullets of all types going underground. By underground, I specifically am talking about the caverns, and anybody who's been driving for a while knows what I'm talking about. So now I have to ask myself, what do they know that they're not telling everybody? And so I started looking at and starting putting two and two together. So here is my theory, educated guess. For those who don't know, that's what theory means, educated guess. My educated guess is compiling the fact that they shut down 6 solar observatories, compiling the fact of what Marshall Masters has said in the past and continues to say about Nibiru and the destroyer, what the Indian tribes call the Blue Kachina. I think that something is headed towards the planet, and I think that we also are having right in the middle of a pole shift, and we already know that the sun been acting weird, and according to certain people, like Suspicious Observers is one. You can go watch his catastrophe videos. But according to them, our sun is going to micronova. Now, what that means is, no, the sun's not going to go away. What it's going to do is it's going to go out and restart. And when it does that, one part of the planet, whichever part is facing it when it does that, the surface will be devastated with, gamma rays and radiation, solar radiation, and Lord forbid that it happens when our poles actually half flip. Now, by half flip, I mean they're not going to end over end. What's going to happen is the North Pole, which has been steadily moving, okay, the North Pole will probably end up somewhere around, I would think Australia maybe, and then the South Pole would be on the opposite side. So it would do a half flip as far as the magnetic shift goes. But what that's going to cause is, when that happens, our magnetic shield goes down. And we get severely impacted by the energy and the solar winds and the solar radiation coming off the sun. Now, if our sun goes micronova right at the point when our magnetic shield goes down, one half of the planet will be burnt to a crisp. That means that 1/3 of everything living will poof. Now, if you read Revelations, it already talks about this happening. So I would suggest, if you haven't done so, that you go and you read Revelations. Now, it also talks about in Revelations, according to some people, 2 impacts. Now, these 2 impacts will make the water undrinkable. It's how it speaks about it in Revelations. So, I think this is what's coming. And I think they're not going to warn us. Now, do I think it is survivable? Absolutely. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. They would just give up on it, I think it is absolutely survivable, but I think that you need to take steps to be able to survive it. And I'm not just talking about the U.S. here. I'm talking about worldwide. Okay? You need to be aware of the fact that this could happen. 1, don't panic. Number 2, if you can, download and print out every herbal remedy that you can come across. because this will save your butt when there's no more medications available. Number 2, try and store up as much seeds and food that you can. If what I just said happens, it will throw us as a planet back into an ice age, which could last 100 to 150,000 years. Now, personally, I don't think it's going to do that. Personally, I think it's only going to mess up our climate for about a decade. And we will have nuclear winter probably for a year while the sun restarts. And then it'll be probably a decade before, with all the volcanoes going off, before the greenhouse effect from all of that ash in the atmosphere warms the planet back enough to, where it's not nuclear winter anymore. If you are near the mountains, I would check all of the ancient maps that you can to see if in the archaeological record that mountain range has ever gone off as a volcano. Because more than likely, when this does happen, all the volcanoes that are listed will probably go off. Now, whether or not there'll be a massive eruption, no, I don't think so. But they will go off and they will cause damage, okay? One of the other things that even Einstein talked about was crustal displacement. That means the continents will move, which will cause massive earthquakes. So I would not recommend a bunker. Okay? If you're underground and you get crustal displacement, you're going to get crushed. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend that you try and get as much information as you can now and get it printed out or written out, and focus on herbal remedies, focus on how to preserve foods, focus on foraging, bushcrafting. This is what you're going to need. All this other stuff, it says in Revelations that they will try to hide in the cracks of the mountains, and he'll find you. It says all this. So, do I think this is going to happen anytime soon? Possibly. I think that with all the preparations I've seen over the last decade, and all the talk and the way everything has been escalated, I think something major is going to happen within the next year. Now, whether or not that'll be the pole flip or the sun going micronova, I don't know about that. But everything points to the old Indian prophecies when the blue Kachina was seen, that there would be rocks from heaven. Now, I might be wrong on how I'm saying that. Please take that for what it's worth. I'm not really, when I was younger, I never really listened. So I can only tell you kind of what I remember. But if rocks from heaven, that to me is either a meteorite or an asteroid. Now, it doesn't need to be a big asteroid or a big meteorite to cause devastation. It could be a little one. We saw that in California. You know, a guy's house got burnt down from a little rock. So I think possibly this is coming next year. And is it going to be like the doomsayers say, and the whole planet's going to die and blah blah? No, I don't think so. I think it's going to go along the plans of Revelations. I think we will have 2 deep impacts. Now, when those happen, I don't know. But Revelation says that will happen. Okay. So yeah, I would seriously prepare, because I'm going to tell you honestly, they're not going to tell you, and they're not going to tell me. They're not going to tell anybody except for their little clique what is actually going on. So I got to go to work. And that was just my thought this morning, because, you know, I had comments about, you know, some of the stuff that I've been seeing online lately, and it all is all pointing to some kind of catastrophe happening. And that is the only thing that makes any sense, is why are they pushing now all of a sudden, you know, the asteroid avoidance, and all these elites are trying to get off planet, and oh wow, 2 and 2, right? 2 and 2. Much love, folks. Hold on to Jesus. Read your Bible, pray, and walk with faith. Bicycle.